J.R.R. Tolkien's world, it's just overflowing with these incredible heroes and unforgettable stories, right? But it's also a world absolutely teeming with unimaginable monsters. And today, we're not just talking about your garden variety orcs. Oh no, we are talking about the true titans, the world breakers, these beings whose very footsteps literally shaped the history of Middle-earth. So let's dive right in.
I mean, that quote just perfectly captures the sheer scale we're dealing with here. These aren't just animals or beasts. They are, for all intents and purposes, forces of nature. They are enemies and, yes, sometimes even allies whose legends have been whispered for thousands of years.
And that's the big question we're tackling today. We're going to count down the 8 most powerful monsters to ever walk the lands of Arda. We're talking everything from living, breathing siege engines all the way up to literal forces of cosmic horror. It's going to be a wild ride. Okay, so to kick things off, we're going to start with a couple of creatures that are really defined by their colossal size and just their devastating physical power on the battlefield. Starting our list at number 8, we've got the Mumakil of Harad, or as you might know them, Oliphants. These things are basically living siege towers. I mean, just picture these massive, walking war beasts that could trample entire armies underfoot like they were nothing more than tall grass. So what makes the Mumakil so dangerous isn't just their nearly impenetrable hide or their ridiculous size. No, the real kicker is the fact that they can be controlled. See, a wild monster is one thing. It's a force of nature, sure. But a monster that's been turned into a weapon of mass destruction, guided by the will of its masters, well, that becomes a strategic nightmare for anyone on the opposing side.
All right, coming in at number 7, we have the ancient shepherds of the forest themselves, the Ents. Now, if the Mumakil represent nature being weaponized for destruction, you can think of the Ents as nature rising up to defend itself.
And you should absolutely not let their slow, deliberate nature fool you. When these guys are finally roused to anger, an army of Ents is pretty much unstoppable. They're capable of tearing down the supposedly unbreakable fortress of Isengard like it was made of cardboard. So, you might be wondering, why are they only number 7? And it really comes down to their disposition. They're ancient, they're weary, and they almost never get involved in the fights of the wider world. Their power is immense, no doubt, but it's their reluctance to actually use that power that keeps them from climbing higher on this list. All right, for our next pairing, we're looking at beings with incredible power, but they're bound in service to even greater forces, one to eternal darkness and the other to the light.
At number 6, we have the Nazgul. In their story, it's a real tragedy. These were once 9 incredibly powerful human kings, great warriors, sorcerers, the whole deal. But Sauron tempted them with rings of power, promising them eternal life. What they got instead was a curse. Their endless lives became unbearable until they just faded, becoming these wraiths trapped between worlds, their wills forever enslaved to the one ring. They are fear and death and despair, made manifest.
Now this slide perfectly explains why our number 5, the Great Eagles, rank higher. It's a fantastic contrast. While the Nazgul are corrupted mortals, the Great Eagles are actually Maya, these lesser angelic beings sent by the Valar Manwë, one of the creators of the world, to watch over Middle-earth. They're not just giant birds, they are agents of a divine plan. While the Nazgul exist to spread fear and despair, the Eagles deliver hope, literally turning the tide in the most desperate battles. That divine nature, that connection to a higher good, that's what gives them the edge.
Okay, the stakes are about to get a whole lot higher. We are now moving beyond the servants of Sauron and into the inner circle of the original Dark Lord, Morgoth himself. These are his elite lieutenants from the First Age.
Coming in at number 4, we have the greatest werewolf to ever live, Carcareth, the Red Maw. Now you need to forget everything you think you know about werewolves. In Tolkien's world, they are terrifying spirits that have been bound into the bodies of giant wolves. And Carcareth was the absolute pinnacle of this dark creation. He was personally raised by Morgoth and fed on living flesh to fuel his power and his hatred.
Carcareth's incredible power is maybe best shown in his terrifying end. When the hero Beren tried to steal a Silmaril from Morgoth's crown, Carcareth was the one standing guard. He bit off Beren's hand, swallowing the holy gem whole. The pure light of the Silmaril burned him from the inside out, driving him into this insane, fiery rampage across the land. It took the legendary hound Huan and a whole host of elven heroes to finally bring him down, and even then, both Carcareth and Huan died in the fight. At number 3, of course, we have the Balrogs. Now, just like the great eagles, these guys were once Maiar, primordial spirits who helped shape the world. But where the eagles chose the light, the Balrogs, well, they were seduced by Morgoth's power, becoming these terrifying demons of shadow and flame. They were Morgoth's most trusted captains, his personal guard. Their power was so immense that almost no one in Middle-earth could stand against them, not even a wizard as powerful as Gandalf.
We are now entering the absolute top tier. These next creatures are less like soldiers or captains and more like living natural disasters. We're talking about calamities that could literally reshape the world through their sheer destructive force.
And at number 2, we have the dragons. These were Morgoth's ultimate weapons of war. The very first one, Glaurung, was this wingless, fire-breathing terror with a hypnotic gaze that could paralyze entire armies. But he was just the beginning. The culmination of all of Morgoth's dark craft was Ankalong the Black, a dragon so unbelievably vast his body could blot out the sun. His army of winged dragons was so powerful that it broke the combined might of the host of the Valar, the godlike guardians of the world. And get this, when Ankalong was finally killed, his falling body destroyed an entire mountain range. That is true world-altering power.
So, what could possibly be more powerful than a mountain-sized army-breaking dragon? Our number 1 spot doesn't go to a creation of a Dark Lord, but to a cosmic horror that nearly devoured a Dark Lord itself.
Meet Ungoliant. She wasn't a servant of Morgoth. She was an ally, born from a shared desire for nothing but destruction. She is a primal entity of darkness and void, a being of pure, insatiable hunger that was given the form of a monstrous spider. Her entire existence was defined by just one thing, a need to consume. Her power was on a totally different level. It was cosmic. She helped Morgoth destroy the 2 trees of Valinor by literally drinking the light of the world. She grew so powerful from doing this that she even turned on Morgoth, her supposed ally. She trapped the Dark Lord in her webs of unlight, and he, the most powerful being in Arda, cried out in a terror so profound that it summoned his Balrogs from their ancient fortress just to save him. Think about that for a second. It took an entire legion of Balrogs just to drive her away. That right there is why she is number 1.
And her end is maybe the most chilling part of her whole story. After she fled to the forgotten corners of the world, alone with her eternal, gnawing hunger, she eventually turned that hunger upon herself and was consumed entirely.
And this really leaves us with a fascinating final thought, doesn't it? Ungoliant represents a hunger so absolute that it has no goal other than just consumption, which ultimately leads to self-destruction. It kind of suggests that in Tolkien's world, the most profound evil isn't some conquering king or a dark lord on a throne, but a void that, if it's left unchecked, will devour everything in its path, including, eventually,